At the time the book was published, around 2011, Walmart was the world's third largest company, and it's now eclipsed by a lot of banking and construction businesses. But at the time, it was the third largest company, and it had over $400 billion in revenue in 2009. It got there because of its low prices, and it negotiates really effectively with suppliers. In some ways, you could argue that it strong arms a lot of its suppliers into, having really, really low prices. And then the labor costs, the wages for Walmart workers is also very low. So they're able to keep the costs down, and that really makes the prices that we pay for Walmart goods really low as well. It helps to keep the inflation rate low, and we'll talk about inflation in a little bit, but it states in our text that it helped keep the inflation rate low and had 12% of all productivity growth in the 1990s. So when we talk about the strength of the U.S. economy, especially during the 1990s, economists contribute 12% of that growth just to Walmart itself. Since then, Amazon has passed Walmart as the largest retailer. So Walmart is the second largest retailer. Amazon is the largest retailer now. Amazon has its worth, if you want to talk about something called market capitalization. So when you're looking at the worth or value of a company, a lot of times they'll measure it in market capitalization. Amazon is $900 billion, where Walmart is about $290 billion in value. Walmart's still a good investment, though. If you bought stock, $1,000 worth of stock in 2009, it'd be worth $2,700 today. So that was a huge increase in just 10 years. It's a great investment. But there is regulation of those big multinational corporations, and one of the main regulators is the Securities and Exchange Commission. And the SEC is this organization, we shouldn't call it an organization, it's a federal agency that regulates the stock market and regulates stock trading, buying, and anything to deal with the stocks. And so if you ever hear about some kind of shady deals or something called insider trading, then it's the Securities and Exchange Commission that is basically the police force that keeps an eye on what's going on. The main purpose is to protect stockholders, and one of the protections includes making sure that companies give the stockholders, the owners of the stock, accurate knowledge about what's going on with the company financially. And then the companies are also required to hire auditors every year and then publish their annual review. So it's really clear and transparent how a company is doing. That way, the people who own the stock and potential investors know the strength of the company. One of the other things that they discuss in the text is minimum wage. And minimum wage was created by a law called the Fair Labor Standards Act. And it did several things, but one of the things that the FLSA did was to set a minimum wage. And that's a federal minimum wage. And right now, it's $7.25. It's been $7.25 since 2009. So it hasn't changed much. It hasn't changed at all in the last 10 years. And the federal minimum wage only applies to businesses that are engaged in interstate commerce. And so this is one of those connections back to the power of Congress. Remember, in the Constitution, the Commerce Clause says that Congress can make any laws that regulate interstate commerce. So the federal minimum wage is required to be complied with by any company engaged in interstate commerce. So Walmart or Land's End or Macy's or any company that you can think of that has multiple locations or actually sells across state lines, they have to pay their workers at least $7.25. For states where I should say it this way. States can set their own minimum wage for companies that are just local or just sell within the state. So a company like New Glarus Breweries, for example, they don't sell outside of Wisconsin, so they don't have to comply with the federal minimum wage. You can see that minimum wages at the state level are all over the place. Several southern states, like Alabama, don't have any minimum wage at all. Wisconsin has it at the national federal minimum wage. Illinois is a little higher, and states like Washington and Alaska have really high minimum wages at the state level. And I got this map from the U.S. Department of Labor, and it shows which states had the higher minimum wage than the federal minimum wage, which had lower, and which had none. So you can kind of see this, the differences. So I'm going to pick up in the next video a little bit about Walmart again and employee relations.